my mom's house. Let me show you her bamboo. How much light do you give this? How often do you water? Whenever I remember. So I got this.
What the hell is that? What is that?
It's your new baby.
Always bringing in new plants up in here. Get that thing out of here. It's too big. Too beefy.
You're new to plants and don't know what soil to use for your common plants? I got you. An all-purpose potting mix. I don't measure, so I'm so sorry. Orchid bark. Perlite. Mosquito bits. If you have gnats, this is amazing. Now mix it all together. Now I felt like I had too much perlite, so I just added extra soil in there. I love terracotta. Make sure you have a drainage hole. Crazy ass roots in 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh. And putting soil all around. Now don't pack it, just put it just enough to where it can be all around your plant, and that's it. She is so beautiful. Bye. So I came across this comment a lot when I drowned my cactus, and I have this cactus, and this is my first cactus that I've had for about 2.5 years now. Now the question that I always ask is, okay, it died, but how often were you watering that cactus? And the most common response is every day, every week. Now that's a lot of water. Now think about it in its natural environment, right? Cactus lives in a desert, is dry. It's very, very dry. And then all of a sudden you get a monsoon of water that just pours all over it and soaks the shit out of it. So basically I'm mimicking the same situation in the environment to my home. And that's why my cactus is still alive. So I went a little plant crazy and I bought a bunch of plants. You want to see it? Okay, I bought another alocasia black velvet. This is from Lowe's because, because I need another alocasia. Of an umbrella tree. It's so cute and it's variegated. I traded a plant, and this is the Baltic blue. I got a philodendron glad hands. Look at the little baby. And a cutting of a philodendron mayoa.
Our neighbor said she had a gift for us, and we could come get it whenever we were free. When we went to her house, she gifted this Hoya Public splash and told us that it was her mother's that had passed away about 10 years ago. We didn't want to take it after hearing this, but she insisted that we did on one condition. Tried to give her back the pot that it was in. It was a little bit of a task trying to remove the plant without doing any damage to the pot or plant, but teamwork makes the dream work. She said for the 10 years she had the plant, it wouldn't flower no matter what she tried. So we are going to try our best to get this magnificent plant to flower. Then we can gift her some. You can do this before cutting for propagation so it has roots already established. Or just stick it back in the soil.
By pitcher plants, do you mean Nepenthes, Sarracenia, Darlingtonia, or Heliumphora? While the care for most pitcher plants is all pretty similar, I'm just going to assume because of distribution and availability that you bought a Nepenthes, which just so happens to be my favorite carnivorous plant too. I also think it's important to show you that we all make mistakes, and this is my favorite pitcher plant. It's definitely got some new growth happening, but it was getting neglected for a while, and now it's getting the help that it needs. Just like me. Ba-ding. First of all, these are not flowers, they're leaves. Nepenthes are carnivorous plants that have evolved to live in nutrient-poor soil in tropical and subtropical regions. Nutrient-poor soil means no salts, no nutrients. So only give them distilled water, or you will kill them. Sometimes I hear people say that they just leave a bucket of their tap water out for 24 hours and then the salt evaporates, and that's just not how salt works. The reason the ocean is salty is because salt doesn't evaporate into the atmosphere. I pot all of my Nepenthes in just straight sphagnum. Now, I know that some people use soil, but you can't just use normal soil. It's got salts. You've got to use straight peat moss that has been washed by at least 3 monsoon seasons, and peat moss is a finite resource. When sphagnum moss is broken down and fully degrades, it turns into peat moss. Yo, peep this moss. Plus, since these carnivores like to stay moist and can't dry out, I think sphagnum moss is the better option. And do you need to feed it bugs? No, but it could be cool. I mean, your plants are gonna grow better with food. But say, for instance, that you live under a rock. And no bugs live under the rock with you. You have 2 options for food, neither of which can be added directly to the soil or substrate and must be fed through the leaves or the pitchers. Maxi is the first food. It's a 16-16-16 fertilizer that you'll have to dilute and put into the pitchers. La segunda opción is Osmocote. This is a slow-release fertilizer pellet where only 1 or 2 pellets need to be added to the pitcher to feed over the course of a couple months. And pitcher development really depends on light. Not as much humidity, but your Nepenthes want a lot of light. Otherwise, you're gonna get those weird little brown shrivelly things, and like, who wants that? Follow me if you learned something.